So, good afternoon to everyone joining us on Facebook and live on Twitter. We're live at Wembley for Spurs against Borussia Dortmund, JJ, and it should be a fascinating encounter.
It's definitely going to be. Just you can feel it tonight in here. I mean, the weather's been obviously immaculate in comparison to the freezing cold temperatures we've had recently, and the pitch is looking great. The stadium's going to be packed out. Hopefully, the fans can create the atmosphere that the players are going to need, because they're coming up against almost the team that is just like them in the Bundesliga. Fast, young, ferocious, loves getting forward and scoring goals, and it's going to be a big test for Tottenham tonight.
It looks like both teams are going to be missing key players. Obviously, Kane and Ali for Spurs. And maybe Piszczek, Royce.
Yep.
That's a huge blow. So, not the strongest teams for both. Both, but we should have a great game.
No, yeah, look, I think it's a shame for the spectacle. We saw something similar at United last night, and you want the biggest players on the biggest stage at this stage of the competition as well. But with that, both teams have still managed to keep moving forward, keep scoring goals in their domestic leagues and performing without their star players. And it'll be interesting to see how Dortmund approach this one tonight, with it being the first leg, them being away from home. They don't strike me as a team that play a different way. I think they've always been very much on the front foot. We've been to a few of their games, both here and in Dortmund, and they are, high energy, scoring goals, and they cause a lot of problems. I think it's going to be more of the same tonight, which hopefully will play into Spurs' hands.
If you've not heard before, JJ was PFA Young Player of the Year many years ago. Weren't you?
Yeah, I was, yes, indeed.
Thank you. Jadon Sancho, what a season he is having.
You know what? I'm so pleased it's gone kind of this way for him, because he did take a chance, and that chance was believing in his own ability, though, which he's obviously got the confidence to go in and do that. And also, it wasn't a situation where he left City and went straight into Dortmund's first team. He's gone there, they've had a look at him, they've kind of worked him through whether it's the training groups and with the under-21 groups and 23 groups, over in Germany, and then before you know it, he's hit the ground running, and he's now not only a key part of Dortmund's team, but from England's point of view, come March, it wouldn't surprise me to see him starting out here, at Wembley again. So
we've had a poll, right? And the poll is, if all would fit below, would Jadon Sancho get into Spurs starting 11 when fit? So if Kane, Son, Ali and Eriksen were fit, what do you think was a yes? How many percent? Would Jadon get
as a percentage? Right now,
yeah,
it'll be high because he's hot. So I think we're probably talking, 68%.
73%. The poll says Sancho would get into Spurs starting 11.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. When things are going good for you as a youngster, everybody looks at it and goes, what's he, not 18, 19 years old? How's he doing this over in Germany, scoring all these goals? This is a huge part of his development, don't get me wrong, but almost the next 2-3 years are the more important ones. Once you become established and people now know about you and know exactly what you're good at, what you're not good at, they start to adapt, they start to adjust themselves. He's still brand new right now, and everybody's massively impressed. And, in fairness to people like Dele, Christian, Sane, they've been scoring a huge amount of goals in the Premier League at the top level now for a good few seasons, so there's no doubt in my mind Jadon will get to that level, but for me at the minute, I don't get me wrong, I'll probably adapt the system to get him in there, but to get one of Dele, Son or Eriksen out right now, I'm not sure I could.
And two managers overachieving. Dortmund 5 points clear top of the Bundesliga. Spurs still in the title race, by the way, under Pochettino. So two managers who did exceptionally well with the squad of players.
Yeah, and from Dortmund's point of view, I think the one thing we know about that league is that it's usually dominated by Munich. And not only dominated, but come the stage of this competition now, the league's usually done and dusted. So I think it just shows how well Dortmund have invested their money, because the squad depth now is obviously allowing them to perform the way they are. They've changed managers, a couple of times now, and they seem to be, going from strength to strength. From Maurizio's point of view here at Tottenham, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how he's doing it. I really don't.
Late goals in recent games, they keep going to the end, don't they?
It's remarkable. It really is. I think the game against Leicester at the weekend, I wouldn't say they deserved to win the game. I think a draw would have been a fairer result, but I think that shows the resilience that they have now and that ability to change the game, make it a different type of game. And I think this tie is going to be the epitome of that. I think that's exactly what they're going to need to do again within this tie. Dortmund might have a lot of possession. They might, really enjoy some attacking moments. It's got this feeling that Spurs are going to keep digging deep and churning out the results that they need.
One player I'm looking forward to seeing, as well as Sancho, is Götze. Playing as a centre forward for Dortmund. He scored the winning goal in the World Cup final, didn't he?
Yeah.
Playing as a centre forward.
Well, you know what? I think when I've watched him play, you know, he very really kind of, he's not like backing into people. He floats and goes wherever he wants. He pops up on the right wing. He timed his runs very well. For goals and assists, and I think after what he went through, after obviously the heights of scoring that goal in the World Cup final, going to Bayern Munich and it not quite working out for him with his illness and so on, now it's great to see him getting back to the form that we all knew what he was about. So there's plenty out there for us to have a look at tonight in terms of stars, but hopefully they all turn it on and we get a great spectacle. Do
you think Spurs can compete on both domestic stages and the Champions League? I think they are at the minute, aren't they? Because where they are in the league and
100%. I mean, to be honest with you, I wanted to ask you, that exact same question, to be honest with you, because you've been watching the games obviously within the league. You've seen what they're like in Europe. Where do you feel? Do you think they can go on and compete on both fronts?
Well, I've been amazed how they've just kept going with those. Not just now with Kane and Ali being injured, but across the season they've had defenders being injured, they've had midfield players being injured. And with Pochettino to keep them in the title race, I think it's a credit to him.
Yeah.
We know how much they've spent relatively compared to the cities, the Liverpools, the Manchester United. Even Everton have spent more than Spurs.
Yeah.
So for him to be competing in the league and now in the Champions League, listen, they beat Dortmund twice last year, didn't they, in the competition? I think they beat them 3-1 and 2-1. So they can beat them. But I just wish, as you, that they had the strongest side out tonight.
Are you doing the comms tonight? You are, aren't you?
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, what do you mean, unfortunately?
I'm looking forward to it.
I'll be trending on Twitter,
no,
JJ.
You won't. You'll be spot on, don't worry about that. But what I wanted to know, obviously, I know what you like. You do your research. You do that very well. What are a couple of things I suppose that you're maybe worried about?
So, from the Dortmund point of view, the centre-half position, because Weigl, who's moved back there, it looks like he won't be playing either, today. So, from Dortmund's point of view, and in the manager, I think, as you say, he will stick to his guns. He will play attacking football. I think he'll try and come and win the game today, But for Spurs, will Llorente play? Will Llorente play? Or Mora play out wide? What do you think?
I'm not sure Llorente will start.
Right.
For some reason.
What would you do?
I think Llorente is much better used when he's coming off the bench. I really do, as a weapon later on in games, getting that ball a bit more direct balls into the box. I can see him with going with somebody like, he'll go with Son up top, and then it's whatever he does around that, whether it's Lucas Moura, whether we see Lamela, I just don't see him going with Llorente tonight.
And Winks, I've watched Winks this season. I tell you what. Not underrated. He's doing exceptionally well. He always wants to receive the ball, doesn't he? And for a young player, to get the ball in tight areas when he's marked as well, brilliant.
I think you were right when you said he's underrated. To be honest with you, I do. I speak to a lot of people, and I may have been one of those people myself at a point where I was a bit like, he's a good player, he's neat and tidy, but does he do enough as a midfield player? And then you watch him get into those tight spaces and how he gets out of them, and every now and again he has a little injection of pace and he breaks the lines and he tries to make something happen. And he's gone from strength to strength this season. I mean, I think his first couple of games were like Barca out here. I think he went to Spain and played against them in away from home and got that great result of England. And Liverpool here, he had a really tough start after coming back through injury, but all of that and that hard work and that resilience that he's got has now, made him an integral part, along with Sissoko, of an impressive midfield at Spurs.
People forget when they signed him from Newcastle, he was the record signing. Was he £30 million? And all of a sudden, he just seems to have come to the fore, strong, powerful, going past players.
But you know what it is, though, Sav? He always had that at Newcastle, that kind of those driving runs, going through the heart of midfield and so on. But you remember when he came here, and Spurs played with that 4-2-3-1. It was like with Dembele, Wanyama, and then the three, Son, Dele, Kane, Eriksen, and he was always coming on for one of the three. Yeah. And they were like three of Spurs' stars, and not only stars, but the flair, the creation of those types of players. Then you're putting that's a solid rock almost in that same position, and it didn't go down well with the supporters because he's a different type of player. They have been so lucky to have his how solid he is, the strength, the physical nature that he's got, that speed in that midfield, because otherwise I don't think we'd see the brilliance of Winks and even Eriksen when they play a diamond. So another player that has grown under the watchful eye of Maurizio. Just kind of got to tip your hat to him all the time, haven't you?
So, what's a good score for Spurs tonight? We see Manchester United losing 2-0 at Old Trafford last night. What is a good score to go to Dortmund?
In a weird way, a win obviously is the best score. I know people talk about not conceding and so on, but I think both these teams will score away from home. I really do. So, I would take 3-1 right now. I'd bite your hand off for it.
There you go. JJ thinks 3-1. Join us later on BT Sport. You never know, it might be Sav and JJ show in the future.
Won't be bad, that.